What's up, y'all? Peace. This is Poetic S. This is MLC Radio. Tonight's special guest is Asia1 B-Boy Summit, B-Girl Summit. No easy props. I'm so excited for the show, no lie. And we're about to have a lot of fun tonight. So thank you for tuning in. And let's go ahead and just get this party started.
This first segment shows police protecting and serving the public. Because being a good cop is all about public relations.
Under surveillance, you don't shoot no one. Under surveillance, you don't have no one. Under surveillance, you don't just man. Don't you know that I'm the musician of me? What you know me, I'm a big gun. You have the Babylon and arrest me. And everyone me go interrogate me. They will ask me question about he and she. And tell them German and me don't know nobody. Them me up the man and take out me money. The more of them I go like them want to beat me. Back out him go like him want to shoot me. And choose that I'm the devil to protect me. I no enemy, come to know me, I just picnic. And the surveillance, oh why? And the surveillance, oh why? And the surveillance, we don't know why. And the surveillance, why? Helicopter are flying on the sky, and every day the man them a spy on iron. And the cover lot of the trick eye, and the talk about drugs if we went by. And I ask we question if we kill any guy, but we tell them German that we not go lie because just the Babylon I investigate I. And the boy them interrogate me, and the more them, but that's a hustle be. Everywhere we go, yes, them the fuck up me. The more them in a blue, where them call them papi. And everywhere we go, yes, them call them Babylon. And me not like out the Babylon, I treat the old man. But every day them come and them a go like on the gun. I feel up for your hand, and cuff up on the run. I pity you don't know, cause you in a station. I talk, oh yes, and you kill John. And I talk, oh yes, and you rape them. And I talk, oh, you a big drugs man. But, and that's a surveillance we on the head. And that's a surveillance, why? And that's surveillance, oh no. And that's surveillance, why me? And that's surveillance, me no kill nobody. And that's surveillance, me no rob no one. And that's surveillance, me no drugs man. And that's surveillance, me a musician. And that's surveillance, understand. Don't you know that them tap my phone and I listen conversation with girl on my phone. So hey, you man, nobody take no chance. For the Babylon come and them a match up the dance. The money with a gun, you don't stand a chance. Let me shoot it down, youth like jump and dance up. Watch me now and you have to understand. Hey, youth man, nobody run the river. When the Babylon shoot, you know it never miss. In front of the judge where the case is with. And you and your family, where them man is up. And that's surveillance, oh why? And that's surveillance, oh why? And that's surveillance, me no gun man. And that's surveillance, me no know why. What's that? You got the wrong person, sir. Mistaken identity. Look for me, sir. If you don't want to let me look like me, I'm coming around me. You want to rub in the body, so I know some of you want hard working youth, man, and get us, sir. I'm a do, sir. No, I'm me, sir. Please, sir.
At one point, a large group of Venice locals decided to just sit in protest. That didn't last long. Back and forth it went until sundown. Why don't you just go home now?
Well, I'm going to because nobody's behind us and she already got hit by the cops.
It took a while, but the crowds dispersed. Now, there were some reports of injuries, but there were no transports to local hospitals. As for arrests, they're still counting. We've got at least 6. We will keep you updated. Right now, things quiet here in Venice. I'm Christina Gonzalez live. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Christina, thanks very much. Much of the crowd on the beach was part of a worldwide hip-hop summit taking place at UCLA, and the people who were involved insist that everything was peaceful. Jane Yamamoto is live in Sky Fox with more on that part of the story. Jane.
Well, Jeff, tonight Venice Beach Pier, as Christina mentioned, is virtually empty tonight. Almost hard to believe that they had disturbance out here this evening. We want to take a look outside. All is calm along the beach boardwalk. And as you mentioned, it was a 2-day event attracting hundreds of people from around the world. We talked to festival goers about the event. They're just upset the way it all ended.
We were part of a seminar and a conference called the B-Boy Summit, which for 2 days took place at the UCLA. For everybody to come and have a peaceful relationship with God, have a good time, for kids to express themselves and dance and have a good time.
Today we had a jam. We're supposed to be out here. We had a permit to be out here. We were all legit.
There were a couple of kids who decided to do graffiti, which is against the law, and we all attested that.
All this graffiti was on the walls, so they thought it was cool to write on the walls, right? Okay, obviously it wasn't. But that they weren't with us. It wasn't our thing. That was just separate. So we said, well, we can't be responsible for anybody who comes here. So we all sat down. Well, when we sat down, the cops came and started shoving people out of the way and kicking them in the back and stuff. And so like everybody got scared. So we all started running.
I don't think it's fair, and I think it was extremely unconstitutional. We weren't allowed to express ourselves in any way that we felt was civilized. As soon as the cops came, in riot gear, people started to get nervous and anxious and felt threatened. We weren't threatening anybody. We don't have any weapons. We had a turntable.
So what started as a day of fun and peaceful ended in violence. My box will send it back to you, Susan.
What's up, Poetic? How are you?
How are you?
Hi, honey. Good to see you.
You too.
Wow, your babies are growing so beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
So beautiful kids, man. I miss those ages. Those ages are so
your
precious.
Daughter's 19 now.
She's so big.
I met her when
She's grown.
9.
I know.
That's crazy.
She's a product of hip hop culture. She really was raised up by everybody in the scene. So
yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, like I seen her in a book before I even ever met her. So.
Oh, right. We be girls, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just moved to a new spot. I was actually looking for the book to bust it out, but I ran out of time.
Right.
Yeah.
All good.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the people? I know who you are, but for those out there that might not know who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Sure. What's up? My name is Asia1. I am a B-girl and a mother. I'm also run a nonprofit called No Easy Props. And I consider myself a hip-hop traditionalist and, just an activist for our culture and an educator. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Some of all of that just rolled all together.
Yeah.
And
I'm into... When did you get started, like, dancing?
I got started dancing.
Element for you?
No, actually, I started writing graffiti first. I was writing graffiti, and I started writing graffiti in about 91. And I was just a complete toy, like most people when you first start writing graffiti. And I love the destructive element of it. I was really into, I like the idea of vandalizing, like big corporate businesses. So we used to go to like the Texaco building and just destroy it, right? That was my first thing. I really liked, I just like that. I like the feeling of strength, the anonymity of it, going out in the dark and just being vandals pretty much, right? So that was sort of what drew me in. And then I started really learning about the art form. And I was blessed to be around some really good brothers in Denver, where I was from, growing up. And they really hit me to a lot of the history of graffiti, a lot of the legendary crews and writers and stories. And that helped me on my road. You know what I mean? It kind of made me realize, wow, this isn't just a game. This has a legacy. This has, history. And then it was also through that element and through these same guys I started breaking, because they were B-boys. And we were, just all gung-ho and learning about hip-hop. And we joined Zulu Nation in 91. And we were just like, wow, it was like bursting in our veins. And it was a great time. So that was my early stomping ground, the early years for me. Yeah, it was cool.
And from that, you ended up like Like, how many years were you already dancing before B-Boy Summit started?
So, interesting fact, I started breaking a little bit in Denver when I had my shop. But I didn't take it seriously. I was too much into partying and kind of like hanging out with gangs and doing a lot of dumb stuff, like seriously. So I don't want to make that commitment because, breaking is, especially like when you really, you really want to get good and you're really new to it, it's a really big commitment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like certain things where you can get good kind of quick. It's really not like that.
I
So,
know.
you know what I mean? You know what
I
I'm
got
talking
that
about?
scar
You're
for
like,
life, yo. It's real.
my scar. That's a big one. Is that for
Yeah.
breaking? Oh, do you have
Yeah.
surgery? Wow.
Yeah, it's surgery. I had humerus bone, spiral fracture. I got metal plates in my arm and everything.
It's real, right? Yeah, I know. I feel like I need something like that in my hips at this point. I need like a super hip. Remember $6 Million Man? I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember that show, but I just felt like we need like a $6 Million B-boy and B-girl show. It's like that is, and it'll be a competition show, but it'll also be a show about us having like superpowers because we are infused with like iron inside of our bones. Like legit, you know what I'm saying? We got like screws and all types of nails and stuff in us. Anyway, but no, I wasn't. So my thing is this, like when I started the summit in 94, I wasn't really breaking. I wasn't like breaking at the summit. I was practicing. I was like training a little bit, but I credit my start really in 95, even though I started in my shop days in like 92, 93. I really don't credit till 95 till I got serious about it and was like, yo, I want to do this. A lot of people know this story, but now and then we have one of those epiphany moments, right? And for me, there was a show that I saw at a certain stage of my life, and it was the first hip hop theater show, was Gem on the Groove. And it was kind of before they launched it, when they were still putting it together. They had like maybe a grant to come to Colorado and work maybe some pieces out or something. So they were out there and we heard about it and we went up to see the show. And when I saw the show, I was like, I literally was like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. That's who I want to be. I want to be and do that. I wanted to leave my old life. And sometimes it takes moving, right? So for me, I knew that I couldn't do much more in Denver. I don't feel like I could grow very much more there. And it was a hard decision, but it was one of those things you instantaneously knew. I was like, I'm moving to the West Coast, like the West Coast. Even though Denver, it's considered the West Coast, but it's not. It's the West, but not the West Coast. So yeah, that move, I'll never forget. I moved January 4th, 1994. Me and one of my best girls packed up U-Haul, drove. We forgot to, during one stop, we had opened some up in the back, and we forgot to put the door back all the way down. And so we were driving around. I think by that time we were in Arizona, and we looked, and we just see stuff flying around behind us. We're like, what is all that? And we're just, whatever. I think we were smoking a lot of weed on that trip also. I will pepper it with that. And we looked and we just saw all this stuff flying around, and people are driving up to us like, yo, pull over your stuff. And I see like one of my old teddy bears like whiz by my driver's side. I was like, that's my first teddy bear. I just lost my first teddy bear. I'm still so salty about losing that original mama's teddy bear. Anyway, but yeah, we lost a bunch of our stuff because we didn't shut the gate enough. Anyway, but yeah, so we made it to San Diego, and that was where I got my start. When I got there, I was already like, San Diego was popping at that point. Again, because of that action sports show, it used to be called the ASR. That was the largest independent type of place you could go to find out about new emerging brands and things. And that's right when, the action sportswear industry had started. So it was really skate and surf and snow. I don't even know snowboarding was invented then. Oh yeah, it was. Snowboarding, all that. So,
yeah,
but
like X Games just started around that time.
Right. It was all, so it catered to that audience, but everybody would come through because it was kind of like the place to be. So all the rappers would be there. Everybody would be there. So what happened is that an underground offshoot developed. It was called the 432F show. And this show had strictly really underground raw hip hop brands, pretty much designed by all graffiti artists. And so that was the show we would go to, because that show was just all hip hop. Like the actual sports show was more just kind of a lot of stuff. This was straight hip hop. So everybody would be there. And, you know, so really I got to go to San Diego a couple of times because I had my shop in Denver. So I'd go to that and go pick up the gear. Like I'd be like, oh, we get to get this and this for the shop. And all the East Coast and West Coast underground lines would be there. And it's crazy because that was back like when Mark Echo had a line of 12 shirts. He just had a little card table. He had his little 12 t-shirt designs. It was very simple. You know, people took orders just in a little notebook. All right, 24 of that, 24 of that. And anyway, I really fell in love with the underground scene in San Diego, and I wanted to move there. So when I moved there, I was doing a lot of activism work. It was probably because I had got down with Zulu, and I was just super charged with helping community and being really community oriented and minded. And I was already like that when I grew up in Denver. I grew up that way because I'm from the 70s. You know, we just grew up like that. So for me, it was just a little transition. Like I started doing more working with, like I worked for a place called San Diego Youth and Community Services. And I worked at a teen shelter and did the overnight shift. And that was really, really eye-awakening. It was right in this grimy part right by where the trolley stopped in downtown San Diego. And I just lived up the street, and I used to skateboard. So I would skate to work, do that. And then I had another job with them where I would distribute like clean needles, condoms, all that kind of stuff on the streets. It was like that. It was kind of like my job. So it made it really easy for me to connect with people and talk to people. I started knowing everybody. And then, you know, we naturally... You know, we decided we're going to start up the Zulu Nation chapter out there. We started that off. That was like a big deal because it started really...
Was that the first Zulu Nation chapter in California?
In San Diego. I think there might have been another chapter. It might have been the first Zulu Nation chapter in San Diego. There was already a Rocksteady chapter.
Okay.
But this was, you know, this was definitely different. This was more about the people, about helping people. And we used to do like massive food drives like in the parks out there and feedings and just chilling with homeless folks. And it was really cool. We were doing a lot of good work. We used to do car washes and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like taking it to that level. And we'd raise money and we'd have events. And it was some great work. And we inspired a lot of really young people. And so we started a Zulu youth chapter with some young kids and really mentored them on the skills of hip hop and activism as well. So it was a great time. And we used to do stuff with the Zulu chapter in LA, but their chapter was more, at that point, the chapter that we knew was the Rhyme Syndicate chapter. And that was like Ice-T, Africa Islam. And we were learning from them. Some of us were being mentored by them just in different ways, but a lot of, you know, very, very private information, a lot of like very, very conspiracy theory type stuff happening, right? So we used to go chill with them a lot and build with them. They were more like, you know, they're all underground celebrities. Well, they were mainstream celebrities, really, but they were also, and our chapter was, we were just normal folks, you know what I'm saying? We were like normal hip hop people, and they were kind of like, you know, Prince Whipper Whip and, you know, Donald D and them. They were like hip hop legends. So we got to really get to know all of them, which is cool. That's also Doze lived out there too at that point. And so there was just a lot of great synergy happening with hip hop and with, you know, culture and movements. So that was my thing. Like, so we really, the idea for the summit was because, you know, we got to remember that when music changes, dance styles change. So we're already in that whole boom bap time, right? Where the music has changed, it's slowed down. You know, you've got jazz samples now. Everything's a little different. You know, the hailing producers you got Pete Rock, you got Premier. You know, that's the sound, that's the vibe. You got KRS-One. You know, of course, like Mobb Deep. So all these sounds had a very grimy appeal, very grimy street. So people still were breaking. But, you know, there was other dances developing, you know, really like what was kind of coined out west, you know, been called a freestyle dance, you know. Right. And it became, and the clothing styles changed too, right? It became more popular to wear larger mainstream hip hop brands, you know, Nautica,
Clothes and
you know, Mecca, right? All that stuff, Tommy, all that stuff. So everybody was, you had a lot of that. So there was kind of a division, because what would happen would be we'd show up at the clubs, and there would be, of course, the circles. And when we try to start breaking, they'd really want to shut us down. And it became a division. It became like being rejected by your own people, you know? And that was the first thing that really hit me. I was like, man, like, they're straight like embarrassed about us. Like, they don't really want us here, you know? And they would, you know, they was letting us know. So it really became, we kind of realized like we needed to educate, and people, we were no longer like, it really used to be like, when you considered hip hop dance, like, it was breaking. That's really all anybody ever thought about. It was breaking.
Right.
That was the hip hop dance. So now it wasn't the hip hop dance anymore. So, you know, it was more just like reclaiming our culture, the idea of preserving it, and the idea of making a place, because we really didn't have anywhere to dance anymore. We were really being rejected.
Wow.
And so, and you know, a lot of times when in that era too, you know, that was when stuff really was kind of started getting before the jiggy era. So it was really not cool, barely at all, to dance in clubs anymore. It was like all they wanted you to drink. It was just like a lot of guy on girl activity. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no more fun in that sense, you know? You know, you had the big events, you had the Unity event, you know, all those big, huge, mega events that would happen. Of course, you know, and there was mad circles in there, you know, but again, the time period, it was the dance had changed, the music had changed, the dance had changed. So we were really kind of like off to the side. So that was a decision to start the summit. It was more like one of those call to action moments where you're just like, man, we need to do something, man. Yo, we got to do something. And it was, you know, it was basic. It wasn't really overthought. It was like, well, what are we going to do? Well, what are we going to call it? I was like, we're going to call it the B-Boy Summit, because the summit is like the highest mountaintop. So we're setting the standard, because too, you know, remember in that time period, love it. I got mine too. Mine's the gold chain.
I was gonna wear that one. I was gonna wear that one. I was like, should I wear the white or the black?
Right. I got a big old chain on. It goes shoulder to shoulder, my chain. But yeah, that was it. You know, it was just a real simple concept. It was more like, let's have space, let's get together, let's break, let's battle, and let's bring somebody out that we can learn from, like learn history and continuity and understanding all this, you know, because it was still, you know, being on the West Coast at that point, you know, hip hop, you know, breaking from the East Coast, it's all from New York. So we just wanted, you know, we wanted that connection, that East Coast, West Coast bridge, and the summit became that. And we were able to bring people, you know, back and forth to share history and culture and education, right? So that was really what it became, and what it remains to this day, actually. So that was how it set off. And, you know, we had no idea just such a simple concept would, you know, go so far, or even go through so much drama even, you know what I mean? Just, you know, like just the simple fact of trying to put an event together during those times, you were just, you know, it was basically like illegal. You know, you look at it now and they would laugh at you to think that we were, and that's what sometimes bothers me about these newer generations is that they don't understand that when we, the people, stop connecting, and when we, the people, stop taking care of our culture and caring enough about it to do something about it, it goes away.
Yeah.
It goes somewhere else. It goes like, it'll be, you know, here and there in little factions of it. But as far as it being a force of social change, of unity, of strength in numbers, you know, it's gotten very polarized about the self, where people are just like, well, I'm an MC, I'm a DJ, I'm a B-boy and B-girl. Like, that's cool. You could, you know, but what are you actually doing? Like, you know, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
And that's something with the summit that has always been on my heart, because I don't know, you know, some people, you know, I've never considered myself the best artist, right? I'm not the best B-girl. I'm not the best graffiti artist, but I know that I think my talent lies in that I can see a vision of something that needs to be done, and I don't mind doing the work to do it. And I don't mind assembling people and trying to keep them organized and motivated towards a mission, right? And that's so important in this day and age. You know, I think that something that's really like shook me is like when I look around, you know, at the world we live in and where hip hop's place in it is, I just kind of throw up my hands. I'm like, where are we at, y'all? Like this would have, before we would have organized our own march. We would have been marched to Washington. We would have, you know, probably looted some stuff ourselves. Who knows in the process? You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Let's be real. But the reality is we would have set precedents. And I think
that's
that,
why
like,
I was just gonna get to that point of the fact that like I wish I would have known sooner because I would have figured out a way to make it happen. But when I found out that y'all were you're like, no, we're doing the B-Boy Summit. We're gonna protest. That's what we're gonna do this year. I was like, oh, I wish I could be there. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's where I've been waiting for, like our people to like
to do something.
Yes.
Well, you know,
it's
a funky time. You know,
the way that you did it was so dope. And I've been seeing this lately, like just on different Instagram lives and stuff. Like people are meeting up at parks again.
Right.
Because there's no spots to dance right now. There's no, you can't go to Homeland. You can't go to Juice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people are just meeting up at parks like back in the day.
Keep it simple, yo. Bring the boom box.
There's a cipher of poppers. There's a cipher of the B-boys, B-girls. There's a cipher of people rapping. I was like, people had their masks on and everything. I was like, this is it.
This is it.
So I was like,
right. We don't need to, you know, put it like this. You know, when we found out, we're like this. All right, what's legal right now? Let's really figure it out. What's legal? Because Lord knows I don't need no more rap sheet on my rap sheet. I'm good.
How many B-Boy Summits did you have to do?
I don't need no more. I don't want to go to jail anymore. I don't want to hear that clink and lights go out, and I don't want to feel that feeling. You know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, let's really look at the legal parameters here. And it really says legally during this COVID season in Los Angeles, at least, you are allowed to have rallies and you are allowed to have cultural ceremonies. Okay. So that cultural ceremony is, you know, obviously draws our attention. We're like, oh, we can navigate, negotiate that a little bit. But with us, we weren't even really tripping. We actually kind of helped another person, you know, because there was somebody after us that wanted to do more of a memorial for Harry Berry, who passed away. Mm-hmm. And that was more like, that's a cultural ceremony because you're memorializing somebody from a culture and sending him off in a direct manner. So we help kind of smooth that out. So it would be, you know, because when, you know, it's also a different time now. That what I love is you wouldn't be able to have something before where you got a bunch of Black people assembled together. You know what I mean? In a time like just assembled together in a situation like that. But now, like Grant Park, for example, our presenting partners, like, you know, because I even told them with Harry Berry sent up, I said, well, look, it's going to be, you know, a majority, just a Black crowd. They're going to look like old school gangsters. They might even be old school gangsters, but they're just all old pop lockers and stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Like, just kind of like,
the culture.
You know, but see, they're not even tripping anyway, because they're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. That'll all be fine. I'm like, right, cool, it's all fine. So with us, we just said, well, we're gonna do a rally. We're gonna invite some speakers, and I really like the people who decided to come through and speak. This one brother, Lorenzo, Tamara from Universal Rhythm. I'm really proud of her. She's somebody that, you know, we've all known for years, but she's really stepped up and been that helper, been that ally, been that, hey, here's the deal. Here's where they're meeting Wednesdays. Here's what's going on Thursdays. You want to do this? Here's where you can, you know, she helps people feel connected and also gives them, she gave a really good speech about Jackie Lacey. She really informed people. Lorenzo brought up the LA People's budget and really talked about that. And again, it's because us in hip hop, we don't get a pass not knowing like what's going on. We need to know what's going on. So it was really informing a different crowd.
History of hip hop.
Yes. Yes.
It comes.
Yeah, we need to know. It's you know,
Right.
So that was the goal. The goal was to you know, awareness, information, and to activate, right? And I got on that soapbox too, and I had some things I had to say. I really feel strongly about, of course, when we look at racism as a system, if you know, you can look obviously at the economic frontier of these corporations that we really do let appropriate our culture. Let's just be straight up honest. And we used to all be like, yeah, well, if it's us exploiting ourselves, it's okay. But really, it, you know, which I get it. Yeah, if I'm going to decide to make a movie about breaking and, you know, hip hop or whatever, that's a little different than when, you know, a company like Red Bull decides to really take over an entire like dance form, you know, like seriously. I mean, nobody trips on it, but I'm always like, dang, man, wasn't it just enough to sponsor a couple of events? Now it's like, really, like when people think of breaking, they think of Red Bull. Like it's literally like hand in hand with us. And so those things are concerning.
There's issues coming up with that recently too, I heard.
Yeah, there is. And again, it's reminding people that let's not get it twisted. You can be a company and you can put those faces on your product that you want buying your product. You can even give money to causes for people that look like these people. But it doesn't mean your company is not tied to a white power structure. When your company's from Austria, it's old money and it's a bunch of old white folks that run it, that are the CEOs, the vice president, and you can research it. So it's more of like, you know, I just feel like, again, you've got other people say, I like to make, you know, white money brown. Great. I believe there's different levels of consciousness and conversation. So look, I won't never shame you. I get it. If that's the way you see it, I can understand that. And if Red Bull has helped Crazy Legs help people in Puerto Rico, that's a good thing.
It's true.
Right?
It's
true. Not, but you know, they're not doing it to really help those people. They're doing it because it's Legs' platform and he's an important person to them. Right. So, you know, let's really understand it. You know, so there's different levels to it. And it's not about, we're not trying to I don't think it's about shaming people. That doesn't work. But it's about lifting up our own culture, you know, creating our own paradigm. And also, you know, we've been talking about a lot lately. We need to have our own agenda.